welcome to a new episode. It's been a while. I'm in Denmark, working on a beautiful TBM, as usual. Got in last night, had to go to a boat first to pick up a polisher. Thanks so much to Torben at Rupes Denmark for letting me borrow a polisher, because last time I did a job in Europe, I blew up my battery charger for the Milwaukee polisher, and it turned into a real scramble to try and find a Milwaukee battery charger in Switzerland on a Friday afternoon. So this time I came prepared, and I asked Rupes to let me borrow a polisher. So thank you, Rupes. Make my job a lot easier. Since it's been a while since we've done a how to clean video, we're gonna clean this. It's actually not very dirty. But we'll do a no rinse and release clean on it. Then we're going to do a paint correction, take out swirls and scratches. Then we're going to ceramic coat it. So let's get started with cleaning. So there's two cleaning solutions I use. Three technically, but we're going to start with two. So we got no rinse, made by Optimum, and we got release. This is release concentrate. We're going to go for about a 1 to 20 dilution of no rinse in that sprayer, and about a 1 to 10 of release in that sprayer. So we're going to start with release just on the areas that have exhaust. Like the wingtips, you're not going to see exhaust there, so that's going to be a no rinse job. Here, all of the exhaust. Here, even more exhaust. So this is a release job. You can use it as a foam as well. I didn't want to travel with the foamer, so I just have it as normal spray. A few ways you can do it. You can spray it on. Just do this area here. Then spray some on your towel as well. Microfiber towels, use a good quality towel. And we're going to work in a pattern. So, so I'm just kind of going up and down in straight lines. That ensures I get every area. And I'm also not doing any more work than I need to. So look at that. If I wash like this, there's a good chance I'm going to miss something. There's higher potential for accidentally scratching something. This way, we work in a straight line. We're efficiency. There's no repeating ourselves. Make sure everything gets touched. If, for some inconceivable reason, I did scratch this, it's just going to be a straight line scratch. That's a lot easier to fix than swirls all over. Just use your towel and get it all off. Really no scrubbing, no drama. Just to show you kind of in real-time speed what this would normally look like. I'm just gonna work my way down. Again, we're just doing release where we're gonna see exhaust. So we don't need to do the tops, the bottoms, unless we see a lot of exhaust. Now, as tempted as I am to fast forward through this, I really want you to see how quickly you can really wash your plate. It really doesn't have to take a lot of time. This is a very safe cleaner too, so I don't feel bad about it sitting on the plane. See, we got our pattern, just left to right here. And you feel it's kind of sticky or grabby down here, so that tells me there's a little bit more exhaust there. Just spray a little bit more on there. Now we already cleaned this area. Usually not a lot of exhaust down here, but we'll give it a quick wipe. A lot of exhaust down here. When you're working underneath, instead of spraying up and having it all just fall back down on you, just spray the towel. Get a little bit more. I mean, you can spray up there if you want, but you're just going to waste product. So we usually see a lot of scratches here. This panel takes a lot of beating from the exhaust, and it's a composite panel, so it's actually a little bit softer, so it scratches more easily. Since release is such a good cleaner, we don't have to scrub to get it off. And that translates into less scratching. Then of course, after we ceramic coat it, it's gonna come off even easier. So it's a win-win. You go over the windows, safe. Okay, so we just sprayed this fairing. Let's get all the exhaust off now. Now for the parts of the plane that don't really need that strong of a cleaner, so no exhaust, but maybe some bugs and dust, that kind of stuff, we just use no rinse. So 1:20 dilution, spray it on, then using the same technique of working in straight lines, we work it off. No rinse is basically a very concentrated polymer that binds to dirt, but it also sticks to the surface. So it provides lubrication while you're cleaning. And when you use good towels and good techniques, it's actually not at all dangerous for like scratching and that kind of stuff. If that's what you're worried about. And after you do your no rinse pass, you go over it with another towel to dry it off. So that's you don't rinse this off. That's where the name comes from. So if we rinsed it off at this point, we would lose all that lubricity. So that's why we dry with the polymers on there. On those parts that we used to release earlier, you can't see it in this light, but there's a little bit of streakiness from the soap. So when we spray no rinse on there, that will remove the soap residue. Also, after the plane is coated, it's worth keeping in mind that soap is very hydrophilic, so it attracts water. So you don't want a bunch of soap sitting on your coating. It's not going to hurt the coating, but you're not going to get quite the repellency that you want from soap versus coating. So that's where the no rinse is great, because you come in and remove that soap residue so your coating can really shine. Here you can see some of the soap residue. So you see that haziness up there. If we just spray a little bit of no rinse on there, good. Especially if we coat it, we want the water to be repelled, not attracted. So that's why we want to get the soap residue off. The no rinse will do that, and then we can go over it with a towel and dry the no rinse residue off, so we get a nice clean finish. Let's say you want to take it up another notch, and maybe sometimes the no rinse, if you work a really big area, you don't dry it off, you get some more streaks there as well. We're going to use this product. This is G-Technic C2 V3. It's a ceramic sealant, but we're going to use it as a quick detailer. If your plane's not coated at this step, put a little bit on towel, this will act, this will provide protection, kind of like a coating. But if it is coated, this will just add even more shine and repellency. So you see how as I wipe it, there's a little bit of liquid coming off? That's honestly like, I'm probably over applying it. You don't want to see liquid coming off. So if it looks like this, way too much. If that happens, use the dry side of your towel and kind of even it out. If you put it on so wet, it'll actually start to streak. So that's the one thing we're trying not to do. But now this area is perfectly clear, and it's actually slicker than what we haven't done yet. Now again, when we coat, the whole airplane is going to be slick. If you're not going to coat your plane, just washing it, this will provide a little bit of protection and repellency in the meantime. So use very little, just lightly go over the plane with it once, and you're going to get a really nice finish. So this is just a good way to wash your plane if you have a TBM. Release, get the exhaust off, no rinse for everything else, and then getting the soap residue off, and then you can use this as kind of a last step product. Add a little bit of slickness to it, a little bit of shine, but really shine doesn't come from products. If you use wax is kind of like makeup, so it'll fill in the scratches, but ultimately you're not fixing the scratches. So what we're going to do to enhance the finish now is do a paint correction. So we're going to polish the surface. We're going to remove all of those superficial paint defects, swirls, scratches. That is what's going to make this plane look amazing. It'll look better than new. And then when we put the coating on top, the coating is going to protect the finish from new scratches and new exhaust staining and that kind of stuff. So paint correction is really the only way to really enhance the finish. Wax it's like makeup. I think the best place to show what paint correction really does is up here. So this looks to me like the flag from the static port plugs flapping in the wind and damaging the paint here. Let's zoom in if we can. Yeah, so you see that haziness? Basically, those are just very small scratches on the surface. So we're gonna polish those out and show you what kind of difference that makes. So because these scratches are a little bit deeper, we're gonna use a compound instead of a polish, and we're gonna use a wool pad, which is a little bit more aggressive than a foam pad would be. We'll get a little bit of compound on there. For those who are curious about these things, this is the Last Cut Plus. That's what the compound is called. Kind of spread it in there. All right, so you remember all that haziness that was here? Now it's gone. So planes, this is polished, this isn't polished, and one of the things you notice, even when you don't have visible scratches or other paint defects, but especially on a turboprop that's been in service for a few years, is just the surface getting polished makes the whole thing glossier, and in many cases there's a slight yellowing or browning that happens, and polishing takes that off too. It's really hard to show with the camera, but we're gonna try. Okay, long story short, the camera did not see it. We're gonna try it up here. So we're gonna have a little bit better lighting from overhead, and maybe we can show it here. All right, so I put the tape down to help focus the camera. So here's the right side, you see the overhead light, and the left side is before. Can you just say that you see how it's more silver than this side? Like it's a lighter silver? Okay, so what happened here is I had the most pronounced paint defect here. Luckily, I captured it with my phone video as well, so you can see it. And then I thought I had the remote set where I hit record, camera starts recording. Well, I kind of did that classic dad move where I got it backwards. So I hit record, it's not recording. I meticulously polished this out, which looks a lot like all the other polishing we've been doing, so it's like whatever. Bzzz. And I'm talking about it and postulating, and none of that recorded. So here's me hitting record and hitting record again, just backwards. But basically, defect came out. I thought sometimes what happens is you'll see what the defect underneath was. So sometimes it's like a paint chip or a sanding mark or a dust nib that they tried to buff out. That's not the case here. Whatever they tried to buff out and they left all those marks with actually came out. So after I polished it out, there's nothing there. So it looks really good. I am gonna panel wipe this, so that's a strong alcohol solution. Just to make sure that we get all the polishing oils out, because what I don't want to happen is 2 weeks from now when the polishing oils come out, the defect comes back. That's probably happened at the factory. So they polished it, it looked really good. Polishing oils came out, it looked really bad. So we'll do that before coating. We'll panel wipe this whole thing and make sure there's no, we'll panel wipe the whole plane and make sure there's no paint defects hiding. So, but surprisingly, this came out in one pass, so I'm very happy with that. Yeah, sorry you didn't get to see it. Well, that was a strong first day showing. The jet lag is actually helping because I can work later and my body thinks it's 5 o'clock at home, even though it's midnight. So this whole side got polished up to like there-ish because I need a taller ladder, but that's all polished. And we got around to the other side as well. This is all polished up to the door. The upper part needs to be done. So basically there up, the beige needs to be done. I wanted to do something fun, so I went and took care of the big paint issue that was up there, which came out really well. I just failed to film it effectively, so sorry about that, but I promise you it did get done. I am going to go back to my Airbnb, which is like 5 minutes away. How awesome is that? And we'll be back tomorrow. And good morning, day 2. Today, I'd really like to get this thing coated, at least the fuselage. That does mean we got to polish kind of from there, the upper part. We'll probably do the horizontal stabilizers as well, still waiting on a ladder for the top, so just get as much of it done as possible. If I'm not in a position to coat when that's done, I'll just work on the wings and get that polished. So let's get to it. So after polishing, aircraft got panel wiped. I didn't show that step, but it's a really important step because it removes all the polishing oils to allow for good adhesion. But then also, if we have any paint defects that are hiding because of the polish residue, this will expose them so we know to fix them. But this is the coating step. So I'm going to coat this panel here. Coating is applied on here. It's liquid, and we wipe it on. So you can see this oily looking product coming on there. I put it on nice and thick, and as soon as I apply this, what this does, it's bonding to the paint. So it's chemically bonding to the paint, which is really cool. But it also means that if I screw this off, actually I can't just like wipe it off with some sort of solvent, like a wax or a sealant. You have to physically abrade it off with polishing. If you wait a really long time, you actually have to sand it off, and we don't want to do that. So this is a really important step, so you can imagine. This is also the grand finale. We have some towels that we wipe it back off with, so you can see we got this oily looking thing on there. It's streaky. If I walk away right now, it is going to dry streaky. It'll look like someone used a paintbrush to paint the plane, which is terrible. So we use our microfiber towel and we gently level it off. And this is where finesse really comes in, because you don't want to take it all off, but you don't want to leave too much on. And really, experience is what teaches that. We also want to make sure when we get product on the edges, where we're not ready to coat yet, we get that off. So the first towel kind of gets the bulk off. Then we use the second towel, which is a cleaner towel, because we only use it for step 2, affectionately known as towel 2. We just gently go back over it and make sure we don't have any high spots. And again, very light pressure to make sure we don't remove the coating. So we want a good amount of it to stay on there. Now that I'm happy with that, this is going to start air curing. So humidity drives the curing process, so it dries from the outside in. It'll be waterproof in maybe 5 minutes at these temperatures, but it'll continue to harden, and actually it'll get clearer and a little bit shinier when it fully cures. So after we do that, then we move on to the next panel, the next panel, the next panel. So part of the challenge is portioning off the aircraft into sections that you can coat at a time without missing a spot and without double coating. So I've done so many TBMs, I have a pretty good mental map of where I can start and stop coating and what I can reach. Whenever I work on a new airplane, it takes a little bit more planning to make sure I don't apply coating to too big of an area and then I can't reach all of it to remove it. So again, experience does matter when you do this. It's easy to maybe coat something and then you forget to wipe a corner because you don't have a good system, then that dries up and then you have high spots. We don't want that. So we coated from here to here to here to here. TBMs have body lines, which are nice references. Something like a Cirrus does not, so you have to kind of use made up references to hit your spots. So here's our towel one, kind of getting the bulk of the product off while leaving as much of it as possible. We're really leveling. I shouldn't say that we're removing. We're removing some, but we're really mostly leveling. And then with towel two, what I like to do is start at the edges. So this is already coated, but I did get coating back on it. So I'm gonna wipe it back off. Up here, I haven't coated yet, so I wanna make sure I have clean boundaries. So once we got those edges nice and clean, we can go over and lightly finesse it. By being very good at this step, I can ensure more coating on the paint, which should give you better durability. And this area especially is subject to exhaust, so we want as much coating as possible. Does the coating add gloss? Yes, but it's sometimes hard to see. I just captured a before and after on the red that actually showed a nice improvement. It just depends on the light and it depends on the color, but the coating does add gloss. Most of the gloss though comes from all that work we did paint correcting. So if I don't do a paint correction, I just put coating on it, A, I can't guarantee that's gonna stick properly, and B, it's not really gonna look that much better. So really paint correction is what makes the plane look good. The coating is what protects it afterwards. It is 1 a.m. local time, 6 p.m. time at home. Not that that matters. It's 1 a.m. here. Got the fuselage coated, so I'm pretty happy with that. I didn't do the vertical stabilizer. I don't like to go on ladders when I'm tired, and I'm probably arguably tired. But the fuselage is coated, so that's cool. That means tomorrow I get to polish and coat the wings, which they'll take pretty much all day. But that also means then I get to go to Copenhagen, and I can spend Wednesday morning exploring the city. So that's kind of my reward for working hard and staying up late. So anyway, I'm gonna go to bed. We'll get back tomorrow and we'll do the vertical stabilizer, make sure that's done properly, and the wings. See ya. Working near the boots like this, I don't like to tape them off before coating, because a lot of times what happens is the masking tape will wick coating underneath it and then mix with the glue and kind of create a mess. So it actually just pays to be careful. So you see, we don't want to get coating on there. We're gonna start all the way back here, line up with that edge, work like we are craftsmen, and pay attention to what we're doing. Like you can't just foolproof everything by putting masking tape on it. At some point, you gotta make sure someone is qualified to do this. So there, and then we have a nice buffer where the pad put coating down. To spread it in, we'll go front to back. This helps distribute the coating so we don't have a ton of it up front. So we have our crisp towel one, and we're gonna line it up right here with the edge. Wipe. If I look awkward doing this, it's because I'm trying to work around the camera. Now for our next section, we can actually feel where we left off. So this is very slippery, this is very grabby. If I take this coating bottle, put it up here, it's perfectly happy staying on there. If I put it up here, it will slide off. That's how you know what part's coated. If you're not paying attention, you just feel like, oh yeah, there's the line. And I'm also using reference lines there with the boot screw heads. Work that edge. Now I'm not as worried about getting coating on that fairing. That fairing is already coated, and unlike some coatings, this coating is not designed to be layered. So some coating manufacturers will tell you to charge more but put on like 5 coats, right? It better be a 5 times better coating if you're doing that, which, spoiler alert, I've tested it. It's not 5 times better. It's not at all better, actually. And it's enough time doing this once. I couldn't imagine doing this 5 times, or even 2 times. So it's just a long way of saying, if you get coating on a coated area, it's no big deal. It just kind of hazes because it won't bond to it because it's designed to just bond to paint. Slightly less awkward this time. See some high spots up there. I'm gonna take towel 2, and towel 2 is grabbing them and removing and leveling. Perfect. This allows me to leave as much coating as possible on this part of the wing, which is gonna get hammered by turboprop exhaust. So polishing the underside now. This is kind of interesting. I stopped using the big camera, but European planes have registration on the underside, right? So this is vinyl, and check this out. So here's the pitot tube, and here's the vinyl. Just from the wind hitting the flag, because usually there's a cover, there's a flag hanging off it. Look, it beat up the vinyl. So I got some of that off. If you look down here, it's better. Not perfect, but better. So I'm going to polish that out. And then when all of that is polished, we are going to panel wipe it and coat it. But I'm honestly not sure how much of that I'll film because it's pretty late. Plane is done. It is, I'm gonna tell myself it's 7 o'clock because that's how late it is in Iowa. It's definitely not 7 o'clock here. It's very much so not 7 o'clock. So I'm gonna pack my stuff up, maybe get a few beauty shots. We probably should get some beauty shots. And I'm gonna fly back home. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And see you at the next one. And the Brucas is going back to its owner in a bag because it's raining. Also, this is what 8 a.m. looks like. It's still very dark.